Go back to late February, where HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and FDA Commissioner Dr. Marty Makary made these remarks about food dyes. Let's watch.
We're going to get rid of the dyes, and then one by one, we're going to get rid of every ingredient and additive in school in food that we can legally address.
Taking petroleum-based food dyes out of the food supply is not a silver bullet that will instantly make America's children healthy, but it is one important step.
And sure enough, on Tuesday, Kraft Heinz, General Mills announcing they will be removing artificial dyes from U.S. products. Kraft Heinz saying it will begin to phase out in 2027. General Mills starts their summer of 26 for all food served in K through 12 schools. How big of an announcement is this?
Emma, it's a massive advance for the many forces who believe that we have made it hard to be healthy in America. And I'm proud of Secretary Kennedy for leading this battle. FDA Commissioner Marty Makary has been a tireless advocate as well, saying, hey, listen, we can clean up the food supply, make it easier for moms to pick the right foods for their kids. Why should we have products in American foods that aren't allowed in other countries? Just because you haven't proven that it's dangerous, we shouldn't assume that it's okay. And the proliferation of chemicals that kids are exposed to, both from environmental toxins, but actually in foods that we're giving to our children, has raised many concerns. The fact that these companies hear the message from Washington and act on it reflects the power of the U.S. government. If we send a clear message, hey, listen, we don't want to do this anymore. We don't think it's good for our kids. We're going to pass the rules required to protect the MAHA moms, the moms that have to make the big decisions for their families, the chief family officer. It sort of gives me confidence that America is being heard and that the federal government is responding to their cries for help. And industry hears that and is reacting. It's how it's supposed to work.
Yeah, Dr. Oz, why this administration? There has been this messaging of removing dyes for several years now. No administration has been able to accomplish that. This is being done within 150 days of this administration. Why this one?
Because of President Trump. He sends a very clear message. This job, I'll say, Sean, is the best job I've ever had because I've got the best boss. But President Trump makes clear decisions. He's goes after these issues, calls you continually, makes sure they get followed up on. It's true for the One Big Beautiful Bill, where the president says we've got to align the federal government with the states so that everything works seamlessly to help the average American, and then he makes sure it happens. He wants American moms in particular who are worried about toxins in the environment to have their voices heard and action taken when we learn more about these issues, and that's exactly what's happening. Because he asked when President Trump asks it, folks in the administration know that he will follow up on it, and we are obliged to take action. It works. This is how government at its best functions.
Yeah. Dr. Oz, I wanted to ask you about a recent ruling by the Supreme Court. It came down yesterday. And if you're not familiar with it, if our viewers are also catching up on the news here, it essentially upholds a Tennessee law which would ban the use of puberty blockers or artificial hormones here, or those gender-altering surgeries for minors. We've been waiting to see how the Supreme Court would rule. I just wanted to see if you had any thoughts on, again, that 6-3 decision that ultimately allowed Tennessee to keep that in place so young children wouldn't be able to undergo these surgeries.
I think it's a good example where the science has caught up with the rhetoric from the left on transgender care. I firmly believe that as we look back on this era when we misled a lot of people into thinking that it was hard science evidence that it was worthwhile transforming children's gender because of feelings they had when they're young and unable really to own those actions for the rest of their lives. Many of these young children now, when they become adults, have been harmed irreversibly in ways that allow them to be appropriately angry with a system that allowed this to happen. When Tennessee said we're not going to allow this to happen anymore by preventing caregivers, many of them financially motivated, from doing these expensive operations or giving hormone therapies that are also expensive and whose prices have gone up because of this market opportunity. The Supreme Court said it's their right to do that. It's okay to protect your children. There are 20 other states, as you point out, that have similar rules that are there or coming on. I'll speak for the federal government, my agency, CMS, that we're looking with great intent at whether or not the American taxpayers should be involved financially in this. Why should American taxpayers be paying to have transgender surgery done on adolescents around the country? These are all issues that are on the table, and this is a clarion call that will continue until these harmful procedures are stopped, and they should not be taking place anymore in American hospitals.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.